Good morning, everyone. Jesse Webb, TradersPro. Let's take a look at market conditions. Currently, we've had a few changes. We're now getting towards the extreme side on the downside. So let's talk a little bit about that. Talked yesterday about this long-term bear market still intact. Moved back to a bearish condition inside a bear market, which is essentially the shorter term trend is now down as well as the longer term trend. And we've talked the last few weeks really about the top end of this range and this upper end of this range being sentiment. It needs to move down significantly, or at least back down to some degree for a decent bottom to be put in place. This is the sentiment side of this indicator, which usually lags like this, either to the top and to the bottom, and that is when we have everybody on the same side believing the market's going to go up. That's typically when the market doesn't do that. It typically reverses at that point. So interesting setup that we have right here in terms of sentiment. I think that this downtrend is solidly in place. That being said, the momentum indicator is getting a little bit extreme to the downside right here, where we're now approaching this oversold area off of this sell-off. So that you get that initial first push into the trend, and that'll take things down to this extreme where we could kind of settle and kind of pause just a little bit and bounce around a little bit right here. Not necessarily reverse back up, but churn things out a little bit right here. So I think we're going to see some volatility here over the next few days. Let's look at these others. Breadth is now right there, stuck right in the middle, and right around 49, right at 50 essentially. And breadth, sentiment hasn't really moved here at all. Breadth indicator stuck right there in the middle, as we mentioned. So momentum, breadth, and sentiment. Just to look at those, the buy-sell ratio here, we're solidly now in this downtrend territory as well, and again sentiment also. So we're approaching that downside where we could get a bounce. If we look at this on S&P 500, the last time that momentum was right here, if we take a look at this number, you can, if I mouse over that, it's 167. I looked back, and the last time that was at 167 was, or near it, that deeply oversold was right here. So you can see how the momentum on that last downturn that we had was just not as quick. These numbers, they were in that sell range, but they never got to that extreme. So we've gotten there pretty quick just off of that first move lower. And so this is, now we may see 3 or 4, 5 days of just chopping around right here. I wouldn't anticipate maybe a lot lower or a lot higher, but just some sideways activity right here as we go into kind of a slower week this week. Some stocks to look at. We on that new buy list, some good looking stocks in there. The 9 keeps popping up here. It looks like it's wanting to attempt to break out here eventually. It's got a decent setup. It's an oil stock. There are a couple others that are in there that have some similar type patterns. Finance stock. Actually, let me refresh this. Pull this back in here. VRNA. VRNA is another stock that's just kind of been lingering around that breakout point. Hasn't quite done it. FENC. If you ever see a stock like this, typically it's had a buyout offer, and so the price is just flat like this, and so it doesn't move. It just takes a little while to get the new symbol of the company that took it over. And so sometimes it'll just stay flat like this until the symbol changes. So if you ever see something like that, that's typically a stock that has had some kind of a buyout, and you can move on from that. The other interesting list on this muscle ETF list, the new buys, are actually some good looking names in here, because this is the way that we look in terms of being able to profit from the downside. You're now seeing DRV, you're seeing this real estate bear that's starting to turn. You're also seeing, in fact, I can access this from the drop down here if we go to new buys. FANG Innovation, which is a tech ETF, moving lower. Ultra Real Estate moving lower. SQs, which is the inverse ultra for the triple Qs. So you're getting all these inverse funds that have nice bullish trend setups, which is anticipating, or at least that downtrend is in place on some of these inverse ETFs to be able to take advantage of those. If you don't have full access to the site, you can access the link below, and we'll get you signed up. We look forward to having you. Have a great day today.